Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I am going to be talking about something I thought I would not be talking about on the internet in this way. That is because last year I made a video about this topic and it was really like where I stood at the time. And the video was called Online Dating Was Terrible for My Mental Health, and so I quit. I stand by everything that I said in that video. And if you haven't seen it, it's on my channel. The comments are off because when I made the video, it was in the beginning of my YouTube journey. And there were some things I was super sensitive about. I was like, this is not up for debate. And now I'm just like, whatever, people think how they want to think. But I never went back and turned on the comments for that one. Yeah, I stand by everything that I said in that video. But the time has come to open another chapter in the life of my romantic history. And I have come to the decision that a resourceful way to do that would be to walk back into the land of dating apps. Now, I have a couple reasons for why I believe that, and I'm going to talk about them in this video. And I'm also going to talk about what I've learned in my exile about myself, about what I was doing wrong, about what I can fix going forward, and what I hope to eventually get out of it. But before I go into all of that, I'd love to thank the sponsor of today's video, Beducated.
Beducated is an online course platform with easy to follow video, audio, and written guides that provide techniques and information to level up your love life. They offer an expert-backed library of courses to explore new practices and upgrade your skills in the bedroom and beyond. When you log into the website, you are introduced to a plethora of courses designed to enrich the experience between you and your partner or you and yourself. As a single woman returning to the dating scene, I have found their courses on online dating super helpful. Another great course that I love on the site is called Beyond Dating, which forces single people to actually look at the why for dating in the first place, which is, of course, to find the right person to head into a commitment with. It stresses the importance of looking at your singlehood as something you should be unwilling to relinquish unless it is the exact right situation. And it was a great course to review as I, like I said, head back into the dating world. The Beducated instructing staff is diverse with multiple points of view and multiple histories represented. And so there really is something there for everyone. No matter where you are on your journey to find love or your journey to keep your love life exciting, Beducated is a great platform to brush up on your skills, hear new and exciting points of view, and maybe learn something you didn't know before. Anyone who signs up for Beducated using the link in the description box below is going to get all Beducated courses for 1 day for free. If you use my code OSTEFCO, you can get 70% off the yearly pass. And you can join Beducated from just $7.99 per month. If you sign up now, you get access to a huge library of courses, and the discount will be locked in for life. So click the link in the description and get Beducated.
Okay, so let's talk about first, if you don't want to go back and watch the original video I posted many moons ago, I'm going to talk about why I decided to walk away from online dating. So it was really clear to me when I got into 2020 that I had experienced so many terrible things back to back that I was just incapable of even meeting people without meeting them with my trauma first, if that made sense. So like nobody could do anything without me being suspicious of them, without me being really hard on them. Now, that being said, some of that suspicion was well earned. If you've seen any of my dating story times, specifically the ones that I released back in the month of October for Halloween, all of those stories were people that I had met online. And there were some that I did not tell. Because I was like, well, the internet don't need to know everything. But all of those stories were people that I'd met online. So if you've seen any of those stories, I went through a lot. Con men, people, it was, gaslighting, it was a lot. And so the suspicion was well earned, but it wasn't necessarily fair. What I found was that it was just really hard for me to start over and give people a clean slate because, like I said, I'd seen so much. Also, when it came to the people that I met online and that I would talk to and that I would interact with, I noticed a trend. And it wasn't a trend that I really liked. Basically, I just noticed that they were not people that I wanted to take seriously. And if I did take them seriously, the relationship had a lot of, or the situationship had a lot of caveats to it. Like, well, like, so if you know about my one story with the man who didn't even give me his real phone number. You know, I have other stories with guys who they could never talk to me when they got inside the house. I have stories where guys were not real clear on how they made money. They were not real upfront about what their jobs were, what their careers were. There were some situations where I wasn't really even attracted to the person, and I was just going on dates with them to be doing something. So all of these variables and situations added up to just a really piss poor experience using dating apps. And I wanted out. And so I made the decision to get off the roller coaster. I think the pandemic made it really, really easy. Also moving from, you know, I had been living in LA when I was using the apps, coming back to Texas, and it just being a different vibe. Like for a while, I didn't know, am I going to move back to LA? What's going to happen? You know, do I meet someone here? I had my location and stuff still set for Los Angeles for the longest time. And I really needed to take a step back and to not try and access anyone, and to really, really figure out what actually went wrong. Like, why did so much wrong happen to me? And so I logged off the dating apps, and I've been logged off now for about 2 years. So why make the decision to go back? For me, it's really simple. And this has to do with another video that I made in May of 2021, but it was a video called I'll Never Have Kids, and That's Okay. So in that video, has since been unlisted, and I'm going to tell you why. I am lying. I am lying about being okay with never having my own biological children. While I accept the fact that it's going to be harder for me now, you know, I'm 37 years old, and this year I will be 38.
Damn. I'm sorry.
And, you know, it's an accepted medical fact that women over the age of 35, it's harder for us to get pregnant. I am a Black woman, and we have different issues that we run into with fibroids and preeclampsia and eclampsia and high blood pressure and hypertension. I come from a situation and a life where I'm very familiar with fertility struggles and just people having terrible pregnancies. So I know it would be very, very hard. Like, I'm not throwing that out. I'm not saying that that's not a possible reality for me, a probable reality for me. But I could not, you know, I made that video, and I even I'm wearing it today actually, my little moon necklace that I had because I had experienced a pregnancy loss, and I talked about it in that video. So I got this made for the child that I don't have. But I made that video, and that was where my mind needed to be then. At that time, my mind needed to be in a solid place of, you know, you're not seeking a partner out. For all that you know, nobody is seeking you out, because if you watch any of my videos, you know I'm one of the people that has to try to meet people. It doesn't just happen just out of nowhere. And as a result, that desire that you have in you that's not getting met to be a mom, it might be easier now just to walk away from it, make peace with it, and walk away from it, because it really seems like a reality that you can't control. And I know there were people out there, people even reached out to me, and they were like, well, you know, you could go it alone, you could do, and that's not something that I see for myself as something that I would want to do. So yeah, I was just like, you know, this is a reality that you can't really control right now, and it's safer for you mentally to walk away from it, to leave it alone, to say it is what it is, it wasn't for me. The problem though is that, you ever walk away from something, but you still feel that like pull, you still feel that when you think about it, you still have that like glimmer of hope. There are some things I've walked away from that I think about them and I have no energy toward it anymore. I'm just like, I did that, I tried that, I'm good. Or I never got to it, it's fine. But this, one day becoming a mom, one day having my own child, that did not seem to go anywhere. And in fact, I found that when I allowed myself to just kind of indulge in the hope of it, I was at my happiest. Right? And so I sort of just accepted the fact that I have to live in a dual timeline. On one side of it, I have to accept the fact that, hey, I'm a 37-year-old woman, and the likelihood of me meeting someone, us falling in love, all of that, and the time needed to have a healthy pregnancy, like that's, the likelihood is low. But on the other hand, I have to honor that part of my heart that's like, nope, they're coming. The babies are coming. It's happening. It's coming. So it's weird. I have to sort of straddle that line. So having to exist in both of those spaces, that's the reason why I was like, I have to, when I'm ready, make a attempt at dating again. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if I didn't want to have kids, most likely I would chill. I'd be like, whatever. I'll meet the person when I meet them. Well, that's not entirely true. The other thing is that I have now been abstinent for about 2 years. And I don't say celibate. I said celibate in another video, but somebody was like, well, you're celibate. You can't do this. And I was like, oh. So I'm abstinent. I am getting to a part where I'm sort of, like I said, as I think through and process things that had happened to me and situations that didn't go that, like, as I sort of shed that negative emotional weight, I am becoming more open to the idea of sharing myself with someone again. And the difference, though, now with me now versus back then is that sharing is going to have to be built on a strong emotional connection and a very, very specific mental understanding. Like we're gonna have to go together. We're gonna have to be together for me to want to do all of that. So I would say that those are my two biggest reasons for wanting to date again. I still believe and want to have a child, and I am also beginning to get a little horny, so it's time. Now you may say, well, you don't necessarily have to be on a dating app, just get out there, sis. So I'm actually gonna upload a video right after this one. It's a story time about me just being out there, and what that vibe for me is kind of like. And one of the things I respect about dating apps is everybody's on there to meet someone for romantic purposes, whether that be just for physical purposes, for relationship purposes, for marriage, whatever. We all are being very, very upfront, ideally, because you do have people that are playing games, but we all are being very, very upfront about the fact that we are on this app for something more than friendship and basic connection, or at least that's what you should be on a dating app for. When you go out in public and you're just hanging out, you never know if the person that you're talking to is there to just like hang out and chill. You never know if the person that you're talking to wants that energy from you. And I'll also say this, a lot of times what I'm noticing now is people come to a situation already with their people. So they're like there with their person, or they have somebody in mind. They have somebody on the phone that's texting them. When you're on a dating app, you're being intentional about wanting to meet someone in a way that I feel like you can't be in person. And again, I have a whole story time and I'll explain why I feel that way. But basically what I'm discovering being out in the world is that, sometimes the intention just isn't there. And ideally, when people use a dating app correctly, the intention is there. I'm here to meet someone. And sometimes when you're out in the real world, it's just not there. Also, if you're not a person that gets hit on all the time, like that's not me, then dating apps are also helpful because it's like, hey, I may have gone out to this club or this bar or this restaurant or whatever, but I can download a dating app and hopefully start a conversation with someone who would be interested in heading back to that bar or restaurant with me, with romantic intention. So I just feel like it just makes sense. Okay, finally, what have I learned in my absence that I'm going to use to ensure that this time on dating apps, I may not be successful, but I just hope I won't walk away with the extreme amount of trauma that I walked away with before. So the first thing is limiting the amount of people that I talk to and that I communicate with. So in the past, I did Tinder. That was always like my go-to because I think as a late bloomer, I've mentioned this before, I was 32 years old when I really, really started trying to date and to meet people intentionally. Before that, it was kind of just like, whatever happens, happens. If I meet somebody in the real world, blah, blah, blah. And I was averaging meeting someone maybe once or twice a year. Like when I say it'd be dry, when I head out, it'd be dry. So getting on dating apps was like, hey, for the first time, I've got choices, right? But a lot of times the sheer amount of choices is too much. It's too much power. It's too much. It's not real choice because you might be choosing based on one thing and other people might be choosing based on another thing. And so if you're not very specific about who you're choosing and who you're letting in, your dating app experience is going to show that. And to piggyback off of that, I've said before that I don't really have a race preference. But what I had noticed was that, like, I wasn't also character. I wasn't being very, very discriminating on. So like, I have a very, very good sense of personhood. And I think, at being a writer, being a person who's naturally very expressive, also being a teacher, someone who taught communication, I'm very communicative and I can tell a lot about a person by how they decide to communicate through their words, that they write on their dating profile, through their pictures that they put up, there's so much messaging that we give off, whether directly or indirectly. And I was just sort of ignoring all of that messaging just so that I could say that I was out on a date with someone. And then turning around and being surprised when it didn't work out in my favor, which I think is just, well, it's the definition of insanity, really, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what I was doing. I wasn't using the sense God gave me to pick appropriate people to interact with. And so that's definitely something that I'm doing now, which not only, like, to go back to what I was saying before, not only making sure that I talk to fewer people, but being very specific about who I'm choosing to interact with. So when I say talking to fewer people, no longer am I using Tinder. And also I think I've aged out. I've aged out of Tinder. If you use Tinder and you're over 35, good for you. But I think it really is just, and not only just aged out, like physical age, but like emotionally as well. I'm good. So I signed up for Hinge and I signed up for Bumble. And those are the two that I use. And at first I was really, really frustrated with Hinge because it's just, of all the dating apps for me, it gives you the least amount of choice. Like you get 8 likes you can give out a day. On any given day, I'll get maybe 3 to 4 likes. By the way, at the recording of this video, I've only been on Hinge for 2 days and on Bumble for about 3 days. So just know that. But yeah, Hinge is very, very reductive. It's not, you're definitely not, it's not the Tinder experience where you're just like combing through, whatever. It's very quiet, but I like that. I like that now, I don't have to talk to 5 different people a day. I can talk to one person a day. That's my speed. Decide whether or not we have a connection. If we do, great. If we don't, move on. So I like that. So I'm using that. Also, I want to say that when it comes to how I communicate with people, being more alert and astute about the amount of effort I'm putting in versus the amount of effort I'm giving back and vice versa. So I think sometimes on dating apps, you can swipe and you can be talking to someone or someone can decide to talk to you. And especially on these apps where women have to make the first move, or an app like Hinge where women can make the first move, you can do whatever, because you can give out your likes. In those situations where I have to make the first move, I'm very, very specific about, okay, how long do I talk to this person before they begin to ask about me? How long do I, engage with maybe 1-word answers or 1-sentence answers before they really decide that they want to open up and have a conversation? I don't have to, deal with the whole, how are you? How's your day? I'm sending these messages or they're sending these very, very simple, very whatever messages, and we're sending this back and forth. Like, I don't have to do that. If I'm not interested in the connection, or I can tell this person's not really interested in the connection, unmatch and move on. So I definitely feel like there's going to be, on my end, just a limitation of how much I allow myself to get bogged down by things that really, really aren't going anywhere, that have no life. And being very, very aware of, in situations where I extend myself first, is this person reciprocating? Are they just talking to me to do something? Are they actually interested? And if the answer to that is no, letting them go immediately. I have literally spent time on dating apps, just days waiting for responses. My behavior was horrible. It really was. And it wasn't in my best interest. I was never practicing good boundaries. I set myself up to fail. And so that is what I did. So once again, I don't know if I will be successful at all. I don't know if, even with all of my boundaries and my rules and the things that I'm going to do different this time, I could still walk away with a scary story. You never know. But I do think going into it, being more intentional, having good boundaries, and being aware that I'm doing this for a reason. So I can't deal with nobody who is like, oh, maybe want kids someday, or someone who's like, I don't know what I'm looking for. You got to know what you want, and you're going to have to want it with me, and you're going to have to want it kind of quick. Now, I do want to say this. I've been watching a lot of Real Housewives lately, something I said I would never do. So I would never watch Real Housewives. I've been watching a lot of Real Housewives lately, and I had a horrible, horrible realization when I found myself inspired by Kim Zolciak. Okay. And let me just say why. It wasn't her wigs. It wasn't, the terrible plastic surgery that she's done on her face. It was her relationship with Croy. And what I loved about that was Kim was a little bit older than him. And I had always said oh, nobody younger. I don't want that. That dude came in and was like, hey, I'm here to help you carry out the purpose of your life. And when I say that, there's an episode of Real Housewives where she's getting a palm reading, and the palmist, the lady, says, you have a line for a son. And she's like, what? How's that gonna happen? I'm dating this older man, he doesn't want kids, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. She's like, well, that's what I see. And so whenever they have the episodes where Kim is pregnant, they always refer back to her getting that reading and being like, no, what never happened. And she meets this dude, and this boy, he falls in line. Hey, this is what you need done. This was your destiny. I came here to help you carry that out, and also to marry her and whatever. But I was really inspired by that because it helped me realize that if something is supposed to happen, if there is something to that little glimmer of hope I still have, then whoever I'm going to meet is going to step up and fulfill his role so that I can fulfill my purpose. And if I meet him on a dating app, then that's where I meet him. And so once more into the breach, dear friends. I think that's how that quote goes. Anyway, I will definitely be updating y'all with my progress. And we shall see. Thanks for watching.